I want to say.
Good morning, everyone. Need to call the meeting order. This would have been a good day to sleep in, wouldn't it?
Yes.
Would everyone please stand for the pledge of allegiance?
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Please silence your cell phones. Ms. Settle, you got a roll call.
Mayor Plummer,
Here.
Commissioner Brooks.
Here.
Commissioner Fields,
Here.
Commissioner Gray.
Here.
Commissioner Galbraith.
Here.
We have a quorum and ready for the transaction of business.
Hey, Matt. Thank you, Mayor. Appreciate it. Morning, everyone.
Morning.
First order of business, actually number 4 on the agenda, is to approve the minutes of the regular meeting on October the 14th, 2025. I have a motion by Commissioner Brooks and a second. Second by the mayor. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Nay. Motion carries. Thank you. Number 5 on the agenda is ordinances. The first one, 5A, and second reading of ordinance 2025-25, amending the compensation scale pertaining to the municipal order, but I'm told that we need to vote on the ordinance to adopt the pay scale change to the pay scale. So we have a voice or a roll call vote for that, right? So need a motion to that effect. Motion by Commissioner second. And a motion by Commissioner Gray.
Here, let me turn.
Motion second by Mayor. I got your name, Tim. Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Mayor Plummer,
Yes.
Commissioner Brooks.
Yes.
Commissioner Fields,
Yes.
Commissioner Gray,
Yes.
Commissioner Galbraith.
Yes, ma'am.
Motion carries.
Thank you. And then secondly, we will need a vote on the municipal order 2025-79, the creation of a new position, GIS coordinator. Do we have a motion? Second? Motion by the mayor, second by Commissioner Brooks. Is there any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries. Thank you very much. They do. Does that work?
That works. Do you want me to take the next one?
Sure, go ahead.
All right, so this come to you a request from Michelle Thornsberg and the Joint Planning Commission. This will amend section 70.003 of the current code of ordinances. As we discussed last time, the fee structure that was in place was dated and frankly addressed a time before building inspections were done by the Joint Planning Office. So this brings the language up to date and then also brings the costs much more up to date, and you'll see what the scale is there. So this is the second reading. There's a motion in a second, and you all can take it from there.
All right. Do we have a motion?
So moved.
Motion by Commissioner Fields, and a second? Second. We need a roll call? Yeah. Second by Commissioner Brooks. Roll call vote, Madam Clerk.
Commissioner Brooks,
Yes.
Commissioner Fields,
Yes.
Commissioner Gray,
Yes.
Commissioner Galbraith,
Yes, ma'am.
Mayor Plummer.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you.
The next ordinance was requested by, I guess, one or more of you all a couple meetings ago. So this is a second reading. This addresses the timing of utility payments being made and the accrual of late fees that many folks had noticed some slower than normal mail that was coming in. So this will amend section 30.001 of the city's code of ordinances that allows the utility payment department to look at the postmark on the mail rather than the date that it is actually received if it comes from the mail. So late charges won't accrue as long as the postmark is by the 15th if it's mailed. And so this is the second reading. Just need a motion in a second. You all can discuss and vote.
Motion by Commissioner Brooks, second. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Motion by Commissioner Galbraith. Madam Clerk, can you please call the roll?
Commissioner Fields,
Yes.
Commissioner Gray,
Yes.
Commissioner Galbraith,
Yes, ma'am.
Mayor Plummer,
Yes.
Commissioner Brooks.
Yes.
Motion carries.
The next ordinance is the one that you all address annually, where as you pass ordinances during the year, they get codified both on paper. I think they're already on the website as it is. This is just the first reading. We can address the second.
Do we have a motion?
No.
This is first reading. First reading, apologize.
How much does it cost to have those printed?
When we do the paper and online, around $1,200.
All right, item E. First reading ordinance 2025-29. First quarter fiscal year. That will be turning over to Brad, budget amendment, if he wants to discuss.
Sure. So I'll just go ahead and read this real quick here. We've got an ordinance of the city of Paris, Kentucky, amending the annual budget for the fiscal year July 1st, 2025 through June 30, 2026, estimating revenues and resources and appropriating funds for the operation of the city of Paris. Whereas the Board of Commissioners have reviewed the budgetary revenues and expenses for the city of Paris for the 2026 fiscal year. Now therefore be it ordained by the Board of Commissioners of the City of Paris, Kentucky, that the annual budget for the fiscal year beginning July 1st, 2025 and ending in June 30, 2026 be amended as follows. Beginning fund balance at July 1st, 2025 is being amended to $11,310,000 or $11,310,561. On here, scroll's not working right. Total revenues for the general fund are being amended to $14,100,714, giving total available funds available for $25,411,275. Expenses are also being amended for up to $14,100,714, giving estimated fund balance available for June 30, 2026 at $11,310,561. Going on to the proprietary fund or the utility fund, amending the beginning fund balance as of July 1st, 2025 for $5,190,601. Amending total revenues to $25,496,048, giving total funds available at $30,686,649. And then also to amending the expenditures to $25,496,048, giving total estimated funds available at June 30th, 2026 at $5,190,601. So that's the first reading. Just to kind of give a quick breakdown on this, with the approval of the compensation scale and the admission of the GIS coordinator. On page 36, you kind of see a progression of where we have salaries and wages. And so really the main thing on this, amending this budget, was to eliminate the assistant city manager position and to reallocate those funds into the GIS coordinator and then also to the executive assistant. Even though we're really not amending the overall admin salaries or wages because we're still kind of under with those changes, it's basically just kind of eliminating that position. So when we come, if we want to add the assistant city manager, we'll need to amend this budget to add those wages back in and then also kind of make that a consideration for fiscal year 27. On the general fund side, taking advantage right now of just making an amendment to number one, we've had some requests for refunds on net profits from prior years that one has been refunded, one we are considering. So that is basically taking some revenues out of our carry forward balance of 45,500. The fire department has also received some additional grant monies for $10,000, so that's what we're seeing that increase for. Over on the utility fund side, we have some just moving around of some revenues in between just different departments, from miscellaneous revenues up into the electric, and then also with the generation requirements from KYMEA in July, and then some into August, we had incurred some additional fuel costs. We've been reimbursed for those costs from KYMEA in the amount of $52,332. So it's just to bring that revenue in and then reflect that overall increase in the expenditures for the power production side of it. So that's the main things being amended for the first quarter.
Thank you, Brad. Anyone have any questions or comments regarding budget amendment? As Brad mentioned, basically the reorg in administration and hiring of the staff that positions that we have open, and the creation of boosting that GIS coordinator, the overall is essentially a wash in terms of it's budget neutral.
I did have one question.
Yeah.
Brad, on page 38, with these movements and what have you, I see that the commissioner mayor budget, what's being allocated to, I call it that title, commissioners, mayor, it's gone up 45.5.
Yeah, so that's where we're putting any kind of refund, whether it be net profits or payroll taxes, usually comes out of that commissioner / mayor.
Okay.
So that's, basically
The
like
one
I said,
that or the ones that you talked about.
yeah.
Okay, all right, that's fine. Okay.
And that is first reading, correct?
Right.
All right. Moving right along. Item number 6, consent agenda. We have sort of a limited consent agenda here. Would anyone like to discuss any of those items? I know, see Allison here. She may talk about the Christmas parade later on in her report. So in addition to that, we have streetlight requests for Magnolia Way. I know they're moving right along out there. I think that they originally had 8, and I think they're going to do 12 streetlights. So got that request. And then, of course, payment of invoices. So if anyone has any questions, I will entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Move to approve the consent agenda.
Motion by Commissioner Galbraith. We have a second. Second by the mayor. All those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carries. Number 7, regular agenda, September financials. Brad?
Yes, thanks. Thank you. So starting on page 63, we have the cash balances for the general fund. See, operating funds were at $8,379,000 at the end of September, compared to $9,126,000 at the end of August. September is just one of those months where we're not really collecting a lot of cash like we do in July and August. So we typically do use a little more cash in September, but should see that rebound in October and November. Our CD balances, go over that schedule here in a little bit, are at $2,645,000 at the end of September, and then you can also see restricted funds at $209,161. So total cash balance was $11,234,134 at the end of September. Looking over just kind of to the same time last year, we were at $9,763,000. So roughly about $1.5 million increase year over year, even though we are kind of seeing that decrease from August. Page 64, I'm going to skip over that because I gave you guys a handout. We were having some software issues Thursday and Friday, so it was kind of prohibiting to get some schedules updated. On page 65, you'll see our CD balances and just where we're kind of over on everything at this point in time. We do have 2 CDs maturing in November of this year. That's one thing the investment committee will address at their meeting in November. think interest rates are continuing to show decreases. I think there will be a meeting by the feds before these mature to where interest rates will probably even go down anymore. So it's kind of leave us looking for maybe some different options or just rolling it into the savings as well. Then moving on to page 66, have the budget to actual reports. We'll start with the general fund, and I've started putting in some projections since we're into 3 months so far into this fiscal year. Sorry, hold on, I'm scrolling to before computer. So you can see on page 67, we have total revenues at $2,998,000, just a little bit shy of $3 million. If we look at the same time last year, we're at $2,626,000, so roughly about a $300,000 increase over the same time last year. Looking at the projected revenues, you can see we're staying pretty well consistent with where we're at on our budget. At this point in time, a lot of that does kind of roll into using loan proceeds potentially for some capital improvements or infrastructure projects, and then also using our roll forward balance as well too. Total expenditures right now are at $3,017,106, and that right now on the general fund side just leaves expenditures over revenues by $18,770. I do want to kind of point out right now, we do have about $150,000 in outstanding purchase orders in the general fund. So if we would take those numbers out, obviously we would be in a better positive position. And as you can kind of see right now, we're still, from an expense standpoint, trying to do some projections on those. We're still, those numbers are going to fluctuate pretty consistently throughout the year. So right now, hopefully we're seeing about 1.3 million as far as revenues over expenditures, but that could, obviously is going to be changing as we go through the fiscal year. And then also, starting on page 68, just the first page I'll touch bases on, gives you the trailing 12 months on revenue collections for our main taxing revenues. And you can see, just year over year, we're up about 690,000 for 26 to 25 or 7.48%. The other thing kind of starting to look at as well too is our quarterly progressions. You can see we're up 390,000 compared to the same time last year, about a 20% increase. So hopefully it'll be interesting to see how we kind of get into this quarter and then also to January, February to see if that trend will continue or if we may start seeing some slowdowns in the economy. Going on to page 69 is the utility side of it. So you can see right now we have revenues at $4,199,904. Expenditures are at $3,792,098, giving us revenues exceeds our expenditures by $407,000 at this point in time. And then also too, in our expenditures right now, we have roughly about 1.1 million in outstanding purchase orders. So obviously, we're trying to project a lot of those into just our total expenditures from this standpoint. So we really haven't used a lot of that cash with those POs kind of outstanding at this point in time. So one thing as far as on the projection side of it, you can see we're right now kind of projecting a little bit over our budget at $26,129,000. We're seeing some pretty good recovery in our electric rates and billing at this point in time. This time last year, we're kind of doing some catch up on some corrections on fuel adjustments and basically kind of refunding some rates back through on the bills. We've got a lot of that caught up, probably in February, March of last year. So we're starting to see the utility rates really come back as far as on the electric side of it. So once again, expenditures right now are really kind of fluid as far as looking at the 24,354,000 from a projection standpoint. So obviously that's going to change as we go through the year. And I think, so that's everything that we had in the packet. I did get a chance just here this morning to update, and this is what I handed out to you guys as far as on the utility cash balances. You can see at the end of September, from an operating standpoint, we're at $816,550 in cash. For August, we're at $765,837, so pretty good increase from month to month, and then year over year from an operating standpoint, we're at 779,000 at this time last year. So still kind of seeing that trend increase here from an operating standpoint. CDs, we did have the one that matured there in August, and that was kind of timed with some purchases of the utility bucket trucks. Same with this CD that's kind of sitting out there. That will mature here in November. And like I said, investment committee will kind of look at that, make some decisions as far as how we move forward. See, from a cash restricted standpoint, we're still at $4,342,285. We really have not touched any of the bond proceeds in the last 5 to 6 months. Obviously, that could potentially change here as we get into some of the capital improvements. So total cash balance at the end of September on the utility fund was at $5,426,000. You can see from August 31st increase from $4,865,000, so roughly about just under a $600,000 increase. We are just a little bit lower than where we were at this time last year. But the big thing to point out is we had the transfer station construction and the $1.5 million still kind of sitting in that grant account as well too. So that was our cash balances for the utility fund. And then the next couple of pages, what I've kind of done is outline where we're at from a billing standpoint on our revenues for water, sewer, and electric. So as you can see, so far to date on water, we billed $708,000 compared to $665,000. A lot of that obviously is in the bulk water wholesale side of that. So we do need to do some research and look at the residential water. We had, as far as utility rates planned increase, we were hoping or should start seeing a 3% increase year over year on that. So we need to kind of look at that. The county water is fairly close, if not over on that side of it as well too. You can see sewer billing is at $635,000 compared to $611,000. So we're up about $25,000 on that, a 4% increase. So we're staying pretty consistent where we projected with the rate increases on the sewer side of it. And then the electric part of it, once again, we billed out $1,576,000 compared to $1,376,000 last year. So seeing roughly about a $200,000 increase in that, or about a 14.5% to 15% increase in revenues from the electric standpoint. Kind of moving down to the bottom part of this page, I wanted to go a little bit further with the electric revenues because we do get some credits and refunds back from KYMEA. I wanted to just kind of show you guys how that kind of all factors in. So you see we've got some, in addition to the residential, commercial, and industrial power, we have the SEPA revenues, generation credits that are coming back from KYMEA. And then, as I mentioned earlier, that budget amendment, when we have to fire up the generator and stuff, they do give us a fuel credit back. So we've received about $52,000. So really from a utility standpoint, we've had $1.8 million in revenues compared to $1.5 million same time last year. What we've paid out to KYMEA and then also SEPA as well too, you can see is we're at $1,232,000. This time last year is $1,205,000, so fairly consistent from a cost standpoint, giving us a profit on our electric billing of $615,000 so far year to date for this year compared to $369,000 last year. And then also too, we are kind of running higher with how warmer the summer was in August and September. So you are seeing a little bit of higher receivable balance at $1,154,000 at the end of September compared to $953,867. And then last but not least, the last page just kind of once again goes back through a trailing 12-month. To give you a snapshot just versus the 3 months for this fiscal year, but how everything has kind of been trending over the last 12 months. So you can really see from, once we kind of factor out the wholesale revenues there. We still are showing positive trends in our water. Sewer is still showing good positive trends, up 8% year to date. And then also to electric, you can see is about a 10% increase year over year as far as on the billing side of it goes. And that is the financials for September.
Report, Brad, do we have any questions or comments?
I got one. It was early in your presentation. When you talked about, on the utility side, you said we had over, let's say, over $1 million. I forget the exact number now, over $1 million of purchase orders outstanding. Is that all, most of that with the water plant?
Most of that is probably with chemical purchases. And then we have I think the bucket utility truck is outstanding as a PO for roughly around 300,000. So it's not really all on the water plant side of it. It's mostly chemicals and then some
Okay. I just, seems like almost every meeting, we always have we owe on a water plant, like $176,000. So I'm just thinking, okay. And then that gets me back to the bucket truck. Pardon me. Did they ever get the truck out of St. Louis?
We have a new digger derrick sitting in our shop right now.
Okay, good. Okay,
It arrived on Friday.
good. All right. Okay, that's all I had.
All the wheels were still on it.
I'm sorry?
All the wheels were still on it.
Good.
That's good.
We just wanted to get it here.
Yeah.
Couldn't get out of St. Louis, as I understood, last meeting. So, anyway, that's all I have. Thank you.
Any other questions on the financials? Move for those.
Move to approve the financials.
Motion by Commissioner Gallagher, do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Brooks, all those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries. Thank you very much. Item number 8, reports from outside agencies. Hey, we have you, Ian, Allison. Let's go first. Or do you have one? If you don't have it, that's fine.
Of course we do.
Oh, good. I knew a lot of stuff going on.
Yeah, absolutely.
Morning.
Good morning, Allison.
Okay, I have like 6 just programming items to update you on, but I wanted to give you all some fun facts to start my report. In October so far, we've had 5 new members. I do have 2 more that are coming on this week under new names. So they're past members, but coming on under their new management. So that's Riviera Maya and then Bourbontown Pharmacy. But here's the fun number. So not including those 2, year to date for me, so this doesn't include January of 2025. So this is from February 10th when I started as chamber director. We have 52 new members. So just wanted to remind you, my focus has been on building relationships and value for our members. But I feel like that number is, I am very proud of that number. So we'll continue to grow, but just wanted to share that with you all this morning. So speaking of value, we continue to have increased participation in our coffee and commerce programming. We had our most recent meeting this month that was on October 3rd over at the newspaper, our best participation to date. And it was just really neat to see the folks that were there just sort of throwing some ideas to the newspaper staff on ways that they can continue to get the paper in the hands of our community. So,
When you have those meetings,
yes, ma'am.
excuse me, do you just talk about what that local business is doing, or
So,
do merchants or whoever participates have other questions?
yeah, so
concerns?
just to kind of give you a rundown of how those typically work. They're from 9 until 10, and we give everybody a chance to go around and say their name, what they represent, what business or organization they represent. And then they do have the opportunity to ask for a referral or any support that they need. We have a 20-minute presenting spot. So for instance, at the newspaper, BB and Becca presented on the newspaper for 20 minutes. And that's when a lot of participants were like, we would love to see this. Maybe you put it on Facebook and there's a read more option, and then that will help, with your subscribers. Then we have 2 10-minute spots. So for instance, at the newspaper, we heard from Melissa Crump with Crump Spurlock, and then we also heard from Ricky Rose with Rose and Thorn Pub. So there are opportunities for 2 additional businesses to present. Our next one is November the 7th. It'll be at the library. RSR Benefits, which is one of our chamber members. She's actually out of Lexington. She works out of her home, but she does group and individual benefits. So she'll be our presenting speaker and host, and then we'll have 2 10-minute spots that I'm working on this week. So again, that's November 7th at the library from 9 to 10. Love to have you. Second on my list is we do have Dia de los Muertos coming up this Sunday from 2 to 6 down in Courthouse Square. Wanted to give Stephanie an update. I did get with the state to make sure that we were good to go on the encroachment, and they say we're good, and I should have that this week. So things are a little slow on that side, but I will get that over to you just as soon as it comes in. Otherwise, we should be set there. I'll follow up with Sparky and Mike Smith this week to make sure we're good to go. Leadership Bourbon County, we had Nonprofit Day in October. I did switch up the programming for that a little bit. In the past, we've done like a diversity and inclusion boards and nonprofits day, but I decided to just focus on nonprofits. Again, in the past, we had focused on building a nonprofit and then building the board and the governance behind it. So what we did is we basically brought in 10 different nonprofits, and each nonprofit had about 20 minutes to present on what the organization does, who they serve in our community, any needs that they have, whether it's from a volunteer standpoint or a donation fundraising standpoint. The participants seemed to really, really enjoy that day. And then at the end, we were able to kind of talk about all of the different nonprofits that we had heard from, what demographics they were serving, and then we had a roundtable about what demographics we feel like we are maybe underserving and we could maybe focus on serving in the future. So a very beneficial day for Leadership Bourbon County. Our next meeting is in November. However, I had it scheduled on Veterans Day, so we're working on getting that rescheduled. So Youth Leadership Bourbon County, we had our Municipalities Day last week. So special thanks to our electric department, folks over at the depot, wastewater, the police and fire station number 2, Stephanie and Matt, and then Corbin over at the power plant. The kids got to go around and learn more about the inner workings of our city municipalities. And I have to say, I learned a lot too. You know, being from Bourbon County, I didn't realize just how much went into making the infrastructure of our city run. So appreciate everybody for being supportive of that and showing the kids your hospitality and teaching them what you do. So that was a great day. We do have the parade coming up, like Matt mentioned. We've got the, again, state encroachment, city apps in. We did announce yesterday that Jamie Corum will be our Grand Marshal this year. Lineup, of course, is always at the high school, so we will start working on details there. So far, we just have 17 participants, so we are kind of amping up the marketing and promotion on getting up to 50 to 60, which is what we've historically had for the parade. Floats, horses, vehicles, whatever that, walking groups, whatever that might look like. Send Cut Send has, they are basically sponsoring our tree in Courthouse Square this year. So we're excited to get some new lights on that and get it decorated with some ornaments that our youth leadership will do. And then a new big bright star on top. So it's going to be beautiful. I'm really excited. And then the last thing I want to hit on is some new programming we have coming up in January, and you're going to start seeing some marketing on this in the newspaper and on social media and through email marketing. So a lot of our members have been asking for a business series, so we are making that happen. So starting in January, the programming Level Up Local will begin. January 14th, let me back up. These will be January 14th, February 11th, and March 11th. They'll be from 11 to 1 at the library in the community room. Lunch will be provided. It is free for chamber members, and then it will be $50 for potential members. So an incentive to go ahead and come on as a chamber member. January 14th, the topic is the Reels Deal, Level Up Your Visibility. So participants will literally bring their laptop or their tablet, and we will create a reel on the spot to post to your social medias, and we'll do it on different platforms for folks that use maybe Instagram, TikTok, Facebook. February 11th, we'll be building a budget that works, level up your finances. So we'll actually fill out a budget worksheet. They'll come with their numbers, and we'll go through that together. So they'll walk away with a budget worksheet for the year and some solid goals to try to obtain. And then March 11th, we'll be creating a newsletter that connects, level up your communication. So again, we'll use a free Canva template. Bring your laptops, bring your tablets, and we will create a one-page newsletter that can be shared out to your client base. So really excited to get that started. We've met as a committee, and we've got some really great ideas for this, but also moving forward with the Level Up series. So that's all I got. Any questions?
Very good.
That's all.
I had an opportunity to go to the chamber meeting last week, so thank you.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it was nice to have you.
Yeah,
Appreciate you being there.
absolutely.
Very good.
Thanks for everything
Thanks,
else.
All right, thank you all.
Eddie?
Well, October's winding down, you all, so we're getting ready to go into the holiday seasons. But Kiwanis Club, I don't know if any of you all attended their trunk or treat. It was very successful. The library keeps track of how many people come to their table, and she figures not everybody came to her table, but they had over 900 children that came to their table. Another group gave out one piece of candy so they could count, and they gave out over 800 pieces of candy. So parents and everybody that was there, I'd say there was easy 1,000 people or more. What would you think, Mike? There
At
was
least 1,000.
at least. So it was very successful. Pumpkins are on the courthouse steps. We are up to 29 now. So if you haven't carved your pumpkin, get it down there and put it on the steps. Let's see, we had a meeting on October 22nd at Legion Park for America 250 celebration. That's going well. Every time we have a meeting, we have more ideas. So next month, we will be putting together the calendar of all the events that are going on. So I'll have that for you at some upcoming commission meeting. Let's see, WTVQ is coming next Thursday to film a commercial downtown for Holiday Shop Local. So we have a 2-minute spot, and we're going to feature some of the merchants discussing how Santa Claus comes to Paris and shops and all the things that he likes to buy in Paris. So that should be fun. There's a merchant meeting tomorrow. If anybody's interested in coming, it's at 4:00 at All About Kentucky. But coming up in November, so November 1st, the YMCA's fall benefit is, it's their 40th year for having a fall benefit. Dia de los Muertos, like Allison just said, is on the 2nd. The Week of Valor is November 9th. And of course, there'll be all kinds of things. You all have already started putting the flags out on the yard in the municipal building. And then we're looking forward to having all the banners hung again, and Rotary Club sponsoring a dinner So there's a lot of things that I think the newspaper is sponsoring a page to congratulate or honor all the veterans. So there'll be several things going on. With that, Mustard Seed Hills Gingerbread House Contest is fabulous, and it's amazing. If you have not been, it is well worth going to. That contest is the 21st, but the opening of the Christmas at Mustard Seed Hills the 28th, and it runs through December 23rd. Holiday Hop is November 22nd. There's a holiday bazaar at the high school on the 22nd. Then we get a break there for Thanksgiving. But Shop Small Business Saturday is on the 29th. So things are happening in Paris. Any questions?
Thank you so much, Betty.
Thanks, Betty Ann.
Always appreciate you and your work. All the things going on. Michelle, I think you didn't have a report today, did you? Right, okay. Thank you for being, any questions for Michelle? Hands on, a lot of stuff going on, but appreciate everything. Ms. Vanessa, do you have anything?
No.
Okay, thank you. The Sheriff, welcome.
Thanks,
Do you have
sir.
anything?
I do not.
Appreciate you being here.
Yes, sir.
Right. City staff, any reports, anything, several things going on? I know Vanessa and I are working on with the judge on the EPA grant, as was discussed at the joint city-county meeting, so that's ongoing, the cleanup grant. Any other updates from staff? Chief? Chief? I want everyone to know, I think everyone in the packet, I've received and accepted Chief Thomas's notice to retire effective January 1. So got a few more meetings. We'll have an opportunity to talk to the chief before the end of the year. But as I talked to him, as we spoke last week, we still got a lot of work to do on his, and congratulating him, thank him for his service and his last couple months on the job. So thank you very much. You have anything you'd like to say, or?
No, sir, I really appreciate it. Enjoyed working here in the city.
All right. Well, we'll have opportunity to talk more and congratulate the chief, so appreciate his service. Any other reports or anything from staff? On the agenda, we also have an update on the Paris Western School. I met with Mr. McCauley Friday. The board have voted to locate the monument on Paris School's property. And they identified a location. They're in the process of possibly working on a fundraiser. So we're working with Mr. Trumbo on making sure that they have all the funds. But they did vote to locate that on Paris property, so Paris School's property. So I think that's the best location, and they agreed, and so we're moving forward, and they're moving forward, I should say. And if anyone else would like to donate to that, more than welcome. And so that's moving forward, so I didn't want to report that. Mayor, do you have anything?
No. No.
Commissioner?
Parks and Rec.
Okay.
At our meeting, I guess the judges decided to give part to the Parks and Rec board. So I guess this board or the commission, I know Commissioner Fields had asked for a budgetary item as expenses and things that are going to be coming forward. So I need direction for tomorrow's meeting and the acceptance of this part, because there's going to be additional funds that the city of Paris as well as the county is going to have to throw into this. All need some type of direction of where to proceed for tomorrow's meeting.
We can't hear you well.
I'm sorry, Vanessa. Parks and Rec, again, we had a joint meeting on, I guess Thursday, Friday. So
Thursday.
just asking for direction of this council where to proceed, because the judge wants to give that park to the to Parks and Rec Board. So, and I know Sister Fields again had asked for budgetary items from the county, so we just need to decide how to proceed moving forward.
Well, I think the other consideration was item one, and the question was asked about volunteers for, have they, for the baseball, for the youth baseball, do they have volunteers that have stepped up? From what I understand, they're still working on that, so.
I
that's
do
a
know that there will be one person submitting to be a volunteer for that board
To run the program.
to run the program. I know that for a fact, so.
When you say volunteer, that was my first question at the meeting. What type of job description does that entail? And what does it mean to volunteer? What, I mean,
Yeah, no, that's,
do I just coordinate with the coaches and make sure the fields are okay? Do I get the referees or, well, umpires or whoever?
And to your point, you don't want 6 people to volunteer and have 6 leagues.
right.
So what the board will have to do is to say, you are running the program and you are doing it on a volunteer basis.
Correct.
And that needs to be memorialized in an agreement to make sure it's not going to create a wage and hour issue, that they're not deemed an employee. Are they an employee? Are they independent contract? Absolutely can do it as a volunteer basis. But what you don't want is competing leagues and who gets the field space. And I spoke at the meeting, there's a lease where the city did a lease with the joint board and the county will, well, and did for the county park, the old county park, and will on this one. And so that will come with the maintenance that's out there. Obviously, those nice, awesome new fields aren't gonna need the maintenance that Garrett Park did.
Right.
Which is part of it, but there's gonna be expense, which the county, I mean, like the electric, who knows? We just don't know what that is.
The electric field.
So as you all do the budget, you're a little, I'm not gonna say in the dark, that's the wrong pun, but it's a little unknown as to what it's gonna be. But I think the engineer and or KU can give an estimate as to what they think it's going to be, and then you can budget toward that. Does that answer part of your questions on how it needs to be done?
I've got about 10 more, but I'll skip those. How much of the budget last year in Parks and Rec, what percentage of that budget went to run the baseball program?
We gave them $37,000 from the program. And from, that's what they used for fences and whatever, they used to do it.
Historically, that's what baseball cost the city of Paris when we were doing it on our own.
Okay.
And that was one of the reasons we came together, was to jointly fund and run that and get the grass mowed at those parks.
Well, I can pull up their budget and I can give you some.
One of the comments that came up from one of the magistrates is, okay, we're gonna put more and more activities out on the Millersburg Road Park. And so some decisions have to be made about the parks that we have now. And I don't want to see any of those closed, shut down, neglected, whatever.
Correct.
So that will have to go into your thinking as well. I hope.
It will.
Okay.
And the other biggest, I'm sorry,
No, go, no.
the other biggest expense is mowing.
Yeah,
Then you also have to pay your umpires.
yeah.
And there's still money involved, even if there's somebody's volunteering to run the program.
Sometimes you gotta send out a 1099 or something at the end of the year to pay them on a weekly or daily basis or something like that. So
Did you have something else, Commissioner?
I guess what I'm trying to determine is, are they gonna try to, let's say, is it gonna take 3 people, 4 people, 5 people, let's say, to do the maintenance and this, that, and the other, and then at some point, a parks director, because I think what was it, last year or something, we took the money that we were contributing to hire a parks director, we took back out of the budget, and I think the county did the same thing. So what is their budget now?
So for this fiscal year, their budget is roughly right at 400,000. Okay, and then we had put 40,000 in for youth and adult programs, which typically has been the baseball program. So it's roughly been about 10%, 10 to 15% of their budget to run that, so.
And then we also, when we saw the, I guess, the agenda last week, there was mention in there about Millersburg. Are they talking about the park, in behind the city building down in Millersburg? There used to be baseball fields and softball fields and stuff down.
I think it's
Yeah, I
called
think so.
Lanville Park.
Is that still,
Behind the school.
but then if that happens, I think Millersburg needs to step up to the plate for something. I mean, whether,
Absolutely. I think they should anyways, because a lot of their residents will probably use that.
oh, sure. But I guess, again, I think Wallace, to me, how many people, who they hiring, what, is it gonna be 2, 3, 5? Parks director? At some point, we gotta have a parks director.
Tried to
The
hire a
parks
parks
director
director for
was-
years. We've been trying.
Right,
Yeah.
and that's been the whole thing. I mean, had we gotten a part, I think that would settle a lot of that.
I don't know how it's gonna
I
work.
think that should be the first thing.
I don't know how it's gonna work without a
And to
parks director.
Commissioner Fields' point, I would like to see us move toward, and it's something that's on my list, to-do list, and moving into the next budget, looking at a plan for our existing parks, our city parks. And, there was some discussion about, what's gonna go on at Garrett Park. So I think that discussion needs to be had. And, looking at, updating equipment, mowing, all the things. So, there's a lot of unknowns, and, but to Commissioner Fields' point, I don't want to see us, the parks that we have fall, behind, so.
So what if we don't get a volunteer? You say you have one person that's interested right now, and let's suppose that doesn't work. It's November, and the report was that they start practicing in March and April. That doesn't really give us enough time to work out all the details that we need to work out pertaining to that park, to the whole Parks and Rec Board situation. I was not happy Thursday when we had this meeting, because I felt like we were being pushed when we could have talked about this for at least a whole year in advance.
Right.
In order to get ready for the shift in the whole budget and Parks Recreation Board, getting the members on the board, getting the budget together, getting a volunteer description. I'm still uneasy,
Well,
and I don't want to be in your position tomorrow when you all sit down to do this, but these are questions that need to be answered, I think.
no, and I agree, but the whole time is that this new park was not going to be a part of the Parks and Rec Board, and then all of a sudden it's being, well, we're gonna give it to you. Well, we got some reservation about being given to us and with a lot of unknowns.
Do we have to take it?
No. The Parks and Rec Board does not have to take it.
Okay, that's what I need to know. Not at this
That's
time.
well,
Not
that
at
would be a,
this time,
that would be a
anyway.
vote.
Yeah, not at this time anyway.
I think, correct, with the Parks and Rec Board, yes.
They have to vote on it.
Yeah, we'd have to vote
Okay.
to take it, yeah.
All right, how many are on the parks board?
9.
9, okay.
And understand, the Parks Board, from what I gathered from the meeting, would not have any say over capital construction or, it's limited in terms of what the Parks Board would.
Because the county owns the property, because the county owns the property.
and
Fiscal court has to make those
Fiscal court
decisions,
owns
if
the
I
property.
understood correctly. Fiscal court is the one that makes the decisions on any.
Correct. But they're looking for somebody to program the property, which they've known they're gonna need this for a long time. And for years, they've been saying that board doesn't have anything to do with the new
Right.
park. And now all of a sudden, when they're getting pressured, who's gonna let them have a pickleball tournament? Who's gonna run the tennis program? Who's gonna do that? And it's like, oh, let's just put it on the Parks and Rec. And hadn't even been able to hire a director for 5, 6, 7 years.
So how many Parks and Rec employees do we have at this point?
No.
Besides Judy?
Judy,
There's two full-time
There's
and
two.
a part-time.
And a part-time.
Okay.
So there are a lot of unknowns, and I don't know if that answers your question, Commissioner, about
Well, that
direction,
kind of,
but
you know, I'll bring it, and it just kind of gives, I can speak for what the city, you know, but then the rest of them will have
their own, decision on how they want to vote if that comes up. If we didn't decide because of, again, with the unknowns that are still there.
Who's our appointees? Who's our appointees?
appointees or employees?
Wallace?
No, we,
Aaron,
Aaron Markham.
Aaron, myself, there's two others. Mark Offit is the joint one.
Emily, is it?
Emily and Kerry Walker.
Kerry,
I think, I don't know, let's put it out there, I think in my mind, at this point, you either go all in, and with the understanding that there are a lot of unknowns, and that it's gonna cost more, or we look at going in another direction with respect to city parks. So, I think that's an administrator's opinion, so,
Stan brought up
policy. go
a
ahead.
good point at the meeting. Our first priority should be 9/11,
9/11, EMS,
Oh,
E911,
emergency,
police and fire.
Sure.
Police and fire, I mean,
Right.
and we know that, with all of our community partners, it's EMS and E911 are our biggest expenses.
Correct.
If we dissolve it, just like just what you're talking about, if we dissolve it, what kind of manpower do we have, the city have to come up with additional? to what we-
I don't know that we would, I mean, and Mike mentioned this earlier, I think mowing is a main consideration. We would have to have those discussions internally about programming. We would have to have those discussions about updating our equipment and play structures at our neighborhood parks. We come up with a plan on how to do that. That's if we go in the other direction.
Right.
But if we go all in, there's, obviously we have to continue to work with the Parks Board. And so that's gonna have to be a policy decision on the part of the Parks Board and ultimately each body. So that's my opinion.
Just going out. Just making you aware.
Does that answer your question, Mayor?
Yes,
Yeah.
yeah, good. Cause that only be one option, that'd be just, all,
That's a policy decision.
the money factor on that side, and money factor on the other
Sure.
side, so.
Sure.
I'm good.
Does that give you enough direction,
It gives me enough.
Commissioner?
I got enough.
Mr. Fields, you have any comments?
any update on how our tax collection is going at this point?
Well, we have a position opened, which you all approved, and that's.
No. I mean, the actual taxes that people have paid to this
I'll
point.
pay it early. We
Early.
can get a report on that.
it's probably a little too early right now. I think
Okay,
October, is it November 30th is kind of the deadline for the 2% discount.
mhm.
That's different things.
Yeah, so, but for the November meeting, we'll have some updates for you, so.
That's all I
So,
have.
yeah.
I just had a follow-up on the turn lanes on the bypass. We were pretty caught up last meeting about the Colonial, and you gave me the update, but I don't think I've retained a whole lot of, you made the guy sit through and watch how bad and dangerous it can be.
I mean,
to
Kelly
reach.
Baker, he's the head of the district. I reached back out to him. he's got a number of things, right, Stan, he's working on right here in Bergen County.
We
That's one of
we expect that to happen, or is there a time frame, or we just still fingers crossed and he now sees the problem?
He
that
sees
we've
the
been-
problem and he was referring back to traffic engineering to see what their solution
Just the
was.
fact that somebody watched, I guess, is better than the past 10 years. of jumping
Another
up
set
and
of, another set of eyes.
But we might as well get Jim Gray down here like we did on the street.
All right.
We may have a meeting with Mayor Gordon on the Paris Pike coming up, so I don't know, so that's still in the works too. So we might get
Well, I was
heard.
at the transfer station, with the governor, going, you just came around the bypass, right? Yeah. I see what you're talking about, Tim.
Yeah.
That was 3 years ago, and it's still the danger that it is, but, okay, I just wanted to get a little bit deeper into that, and that's all I had.
Okay. Follow up with them. Mr. Galvin, anything?
I don't have anything. If nobody else has anything, I'd like to make a motion to go into executive session pursuant to KRS 61.810(1)(c). Discussion of pending litigation on behalf of the public agency, the city of Paris.
We have a motion and Commissioner Galbraith, second by Commissioner Brooks. All those in favor?
Aye.
Say aye. Those opposed? Motion carries. Executive session. Thank you. 5 minutes.